Hi, Marta Lockley here from Refine Co. Today we want to talk to you about culling. We've had some users ask us about how do you cull down a session? Do you give them all of the images? Do you give them quite a few images, say of the same portrait? Or do you use the artist vision and pick the one that you feel is the best? So today we're going to go through this beautiful session that Caroline Tran shot out in California when she was teaching at Photo Native. She has not gone through this session yet. She's given me liberty to go through and cull this session the way I would cull it. I think we have similar philosophies, and I'm going to show you how we choose between images, how we would pick one over the other, the things that we're looking for, and maybe give you a few tips of things that you're not looking for when you're culling your sessions, and to provide your clients the most curated, diverse gallery that you can, which in turn can help you in sales and bookings. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, we have this beautiful session that Caroline Tran shot out at Photo Native. You can see just a little bit of everything. There is film in here, but I'm going to focus on digital today just to keep this from being an extra long video and too confusing bouncing between two mediums. These are currently unedited. If you would like to see these images edited, be sure to see our next video coming out. This will be part one of a two-part series, and we'll be editing the images after we've culled them, so be sure to watch for that. So we're going to go through and make decisions on, say, groups like this. When we have a couple of images like this, deciding if we need all of these, obviously not two of these. We have a huge series here, and we would pick the best ones out of that. So let's just go ahead and start culling. So the main thing I like to do is I do like to peek in a develop mode because I do want to, kind of flip through and look at them nice and big. Let me go ahead and make this a little bigger. So the first thing I'm looking at, this is beautiful, well composed, love the image. He's blinking, so unfortunately this is probably going to be a no-go for us. She may have this in her film section, but regardless, this is not a good image because most likely the groom is not going to like this because he's blinking. Great image, great emotion, well composed. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a 2-star, and I'm using the 2 on my keyboard for those that don't know. Some people like to do colors. I like stars when I'm culling, and I like to use colors when I'm separating film and digital, etc. Let's go ahead and just flip through. This is cute. Both of them are smiling, and I like to just go ahead and do a quick run through of them. And again, this one's good. It's different from the others. One of the groom as well. This one's cute of both of them. And what I'm looking at is the reason I'm not doing a bunch of nose right now is these are all very different composite. The reason I'm not doing nose for a lot of these is these are very different compositions. So your client will most likely like all of them. Again, this one is the only one like it. So we're going to go with the 2 on that. Another portrait. And then here we have a series of 3, you can see, that are all very similar. And my philosophy, and there are several philosophies on this, some people would give all 3 of these because there's not too many. But I think in order to have the most curated gallery for your client is make the decision for them. Because when they have too many options, especially if you're doing print sales, album sales, or even sales to, say, the rest of the wedding party and such, or moms and dads, is when you give them too many options, they get overwhelmed. And I feel like if you make those decisions for them and you give them a very diverse gallery, they're more likely to buy more because they love them all. But when they get overwhelmed that there's too many, generally they get overwhelmed and then they kind of back off and don't do anything because there's just too much for them to decide between. So for these 3, I would pick one of them. I like the kiss. I feel like her mouth, she's not kissing, so this is nice because it's the in-between. But honestly, I think this one, has a little more of that has a little more of the film feel, and they're both smiling, and it looks like she just caught it just right on time. So I'm definitely picking that one out of the 3. And again, here we have a series of them on the car. So we have these ones here. So I'm going to flip through. This one's very nice. I'm going to go ahead and star it. And generally, if I have an immediate reaction on some, I star them. And then I'll go back once I have the full set and I'll weed them down even more. Generally, I do that when I go through editing and I'm kind of seeing the groups of the two stars next to each other. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really need both of these. And then I'll mix one then. So for this one, I love this one. And this one, the pose is great, moment's great. She looks a little tense. So you got to kind of make the artist decision on if you feel like one is better than the other. And I think because we have this one of them sitting and it's very similar composition to this one on the back of the car, and this one overall is better, I'm going to go with this one and then go with the intimate one and then go ahead and skip that one. Same thing for them sitting on the car together. Let's see, we have this one. Okay, so the focus here is on the car and not on the couple, which is nice. This one's the focus is on the couple. And this one is on both. And I think because the whole car is in this one, I think I would go with this one. And then I would edit out the light or electric line pole, whatever you want to call that in the background. So I actually decided one out of those three. Same thing. We have another group here of him lifting her up and loving on her. So I'm going to just kind of flip through them real quick and see what I'm looking at. And if there's any that I definitely don't like, we actually, look at this, fascinating. There's like a bug flying right there. That's great. And that was huge. Let's see here. That looks cute. Easily editable on the bug. This one's good. Okay, so out of those two, I'm going to pick the second. And the main thing I picked between those two is there was a little more room here in front of the car. I didn't have to worry about editing the bug. They were very close. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the second because everything else was the same. So we have them looking at each other. We have a kiss, another kiss, and he's walking. Okay, so I think this one would go before the second one just because the mid-step looks a little awkward because you can't see his other leg. So I think this one looks a little more sturdy. And them looking at each other is cute. And I may decide later that we don't need both of those. So let's see, we have one looking. Okay, so we have a kiss and no kiss. So I would probably decide between one of those later. Here's another kiss, he's walking. I'm gonna not use that one. Her cheering. I think that one's cute, just for something that's a little more whimsical because we have some more serious ones in here. And I'm gonna say no on this one. Definitely on this one because we don't have one like that. Beautiful, intimate detail of her dress here and a sweet moment of them in the background. Edit really nice. Again, these were at a workshop, so you got a little bit of other photographers in here. So for the sake of this, I'm not going to pick any of these. Ring details always nice, and these are great fillers in between a lot of these that get a little repetitive. So they look really nice in a gallery. So now we have two dress details. So I would basically go back and decide which one I liked more. And I think this one I like more just because the overall moment the couple themselves would love. You've got a little bit of, even though it's, you know, out of focus due to the depth of field, I think that the overall moment here is nicer. You have a little bit of her ring, and this one's just a little more kind of an off-the-cuff shot. So I'm going to stick with the one we picked earlier. And again, we have another detail. This is kind of a blurry artistic shot. I'm going to skip it. We have, I believe, olive trees. I would pick one because these make nice gallery fillers. And I'm kind of just flipping back and forth and see which one I lean towards. And I think maybe this one, because another thing that this would be nice for is maybe putting the couple's name and date here. You can make like a little screen holder or a little thumbnail here for them. You got a little more negative space, and this is my stock photography coming in. They like to have this copy area, so this would make for a good copy area photo. Let's go ahead this one and just kind of flip through the next couple. I think this one would be good. And we have two of them kissing. Details on their face, and this one's details mainly on his hand or her shoulder. So I'm going to say no on this one and definitely on this one. We have some details inside the car. So again, this is on his hand and ring, which is nice because we do not have that detail. So I think I do like that one. We got his smile, steering wheel and her ring. I do like that one. So because this one shows, I believe that's a Porsche. The Porsche and the ring, we're going to go with that one because it's a good bridal detail. Definitely on this one because of his smile and engaging. I'm going to skip this one here because we have the other. And I think I'm going to also, let's see, take this one because it's got a good shot of his ring and the genuine touch on her shoulder. Let's see here, we have bouquet shot and bouquet shot. So when thinking of publication and such, I think this one's going to do well because this is also a great pinnable image, and it's a really good detail of the bouquet. It shows her dress very nice. It looks very filmy, even though it's very digital. And this one, I think it's just back of the head, so it's just not quite as intimate. And even though it's focused on the bouquet, it's not really enhancing the bouquet. And this one definitely does. So I'm going to go with that one instead. We've got two flat lays, which are similar. And since there's only two of the same scene, I would maybe go with both of them, although this one will need some cropping. So I think if you go to this one's already cropped how we would crop the other one anyways. So I'm going to go with the one, and there's only one of this, so definitely go with the one of that. I believe this is someone's munchkin that was out there, so let's pretend he was a ring bearer or something at a wedding. And we have several images of him, which say he's a niece or nephew. You definitely want to have that. And this one's a little, even though he's looking at us, he's a little awkward because he's still moving his hand into his pocket. So I think I would do the shoe detail, which is great if you are doing wedding details. And this one's probably the most natural of the images. Food is always good. Again, if you have multiple of the same setting, you don't need 100 of them. You only need a few of them, but we're limited to just a few here. Now we're into portraits. So this is a good example. We have 4 images. And for those of you who don't know, this is actually Jen Huang. She's an amazing photographer and a good friend of Caroline's. She modeled for her, so you're getting 2 greats in one video as far as seeing them. So I think I definitely love this one. So we have 2 of her with her face up, and this one's a slight closed eye. This is a nice smile looking away. I'm definitely going to go with that one. And then this one is 2 looking down, and I would pick one. There is no reason your client needs both of these. They're literally identical. So I'm going to pick one there. And this one's good, but she's a little half-eyed. I think if she was looking down over her shoulder, it might be a little more perfect. And again, Caroline shot film on all these as well, so she may have those perfect images in her film. For the purpose of this, I'm going to pretend that I don't have those so you guys can see how we would filter through them. Let's see, we've got portraits of groom. Let's see, great portrait shot. I'm going to go ahead and 2-star that. And again, we have 2 here, so I would pick one of these 2, and I'm going to go with the first one. Actually, I think I'm going to go with the second one, and mainly that's because I have cropping room if I need it. So I can always crop it in tighter, but I feel like it has a little more balance all the way around than the other. And then we have one without his hand in it. That's great. And here I'm just going to go through. This is great. I feel like it's a little lost in this area because he's not doing anything, but here you can see his arms are a little more active. So I think I would go with the second. And those 2 are identical, and then I'm going to decide if I need any of them. And again, I don't think this one's really doing much for anybody. So let's go ahead and I do like mixing in, so the straightforward and a little side shot. But I think that maybe she has something that's maybe a little more profile or a little more less kind of half looking and a little more direct looking off. That might help that. Let's see here. So we have this one, and then we're trying to decide if we like that more than one of these. And I think these are stronger with the light and everything. I think they're a little more dynamic with the way the shadows are. So I'm actually not going to use any of the last 3. And her eyes are not quite closed, not quite open, so not going to use that one. This one could be a nice, beautiful header and a nice detail shot. The light coming in is beautiful. I think edited, that's going to be a stunning image. Couple sitting and drinking wine, good detail of the glasses, which is great for your vendors, and the couple if they spend a lot of time picking those out. And this one's also nice since we don't have multiples, we'll go with that. Let's see here, we have 2 of these. So we have her looking down and getting ready to step, which is a little more organic, and then her looking directly at him. And I think honestly, I prefer the first one. I like the crop a little better on this one as composition because he's completely in. So this one you would maybe do both, but I think overall the moment is stronger in this one. It's a little more natural, a little more like you caught them in action instead of this one looks a little more posed. So that's kind of decisions I make on those. But because there's only 2 of this, I didn't shoot like, 5 of them, that I would say, maybe add both of them in. But for this sake, I'm just going to go with the one that, sorry, flipping too fast, the one that looks a little more natural. And then we have him, a detail close-up of him holding her hand. And it's a little kind of in between moment, so I'm going to skip it. I think this is a great shot of her ring. Now remember, we have another hand shot earlier in the gallery, so when I go back to edit these in the next video, I may make a decision on these and only pick one. And I'm calling this like I'm doing just a session, not a huge wedding gallery. But again, even for the big wedding galleries, if you're selling albums and you're selling prints, you don't want to overwhelm your clients. You want to make some of these decisions for them because sometimes they don't know why they like images more than others. And if you make some of those decisions for them, then it's easier on them and they want to buy more, and it's easier for them to make those album selections. So I do like this one. I think it's a nice little moment on their hands. And here we've got a series of dancing photos. So I'm going to flip through all of them real quick, see if any one stands out to me as perfect, and then weed the rest out. So we have almost a half dance here. They don't have their hands connected. Here the hands connected. He's in focus, bouquet. Her dress looks amazing. I'm going to go ahead and star this one. After spin, mid spin, mid spin, and after spin. So honestly, I think the impactful image is this one because it looks fluid. It's got good motion. He's in focus. Everybody looks natural and organic. This looks like halfway in between. This one's good. The dress is just not as strong as the other. The composition is just way stronger on this one. And I can actually, if you need to do this, you can always do RAs to compare if you really want to put them side by side. And so here you can see what I'm seeing in my head is that this just overall has a greater composition. And, this one was just kind of halfway. It's almost there. This one you can feel she hit right on at the perfect timing. Same thing with this one. We're kind of right in between. You don't have the same fluidity and flow of this image here. And again, this is in between. So let me go ahead and go back to this. So I would just pick the one out of that whole sequence of dancing images. Details, of course, we love details. And then we're down towards the end. We've got him lifting her over the shoulder. We can't see the groom here. You can see him and her. It's funny. Is when you catch things in between action, she actually looks like she's up there and bored. So maybe not that one. Here she's smiling a little more. And then here is very cute. You've got all of her emotion. You've got him. You've got good composition, good depth of field. And this one, she's right in between. Here she, obviously we said she looked bored. This one's closer. This one's right on. I would maybe throw this one in just because you can see the series, the moment of what's happening. And of course the up close detail of her laughing. And I think this one is the most organic. The rest are filmed, so we're not going to touch those. You'll actually see me use those though in the next video showing you how to match film and edit these digitals to look like these films. So I can show you real quick. Excuse the file could not be found. I don't have all of them in here. I'm going to put that up and show you how we're going to take these and make them look like Caroline Tran's film in the next video. So be sure to watch. So let me go ahead and weed these down. For me personally, everybody's got their own workflows, but for me personally, I like to go into the library and I like to sort by rating. I like to get all of my twos together because I don't want to have a giant gallery that I'm working on. And I'm going to make a smart collection. And you're not going to be able to see this because I didn't record my entire screen. New collection. Let's see. Photo native selects. And now all of those images are just in one batch. So you can see everything we chose from here. So we went from 175 images down to 47. And that's about right. If it was, say, a session, you would expect it to be about that. Now, obviously, she shot double that because she shot film as well. So it was probably 200 to 300 images. And we probably would have narrowed it down to 85, 90 images would be my guess. Maybe even a little less because there's probably some duplicates and she was teaching while she was shooting, so we don't have a full normal session that she would have here. But that shows you just how quickly we weighted it down from 175 to 47. So stay tuned and watch the next video if you want to see us edit these and match them to Caroline Tran's film. And before you leave, if you haven't done so already, please hit that little subscribe button down below so you get little alerts and notifications every time we have a new video. Thank you for watching.